Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Choujin X Chapter 17. When we last left our heroes, we were sort of somewhat reintroduced to the world of Choujin X, of its Choujin and its Yamato Mori, acting as a peacekeeper force. In the words of our narrator, a force for good Choujin to stop bad Choujin, which, as I've been calling out, is very kind of un-Ishida-esque. So it's becoming increasingly apparent to me there's a lot more to Yamato Mori than meets the eye, or at the very least, if they're not I'm not saying they're secretly evil or anything, but that their very black and white view of good and evil is just not really equipped to deal with the world at large, as we kind of saw with Shiozaki's storyline during Sinker. And there's all these little signs that, Tokyo is maybe not cut out for that black and white worldview of Yamato Mori. Meanwhile, the two people we've seen in the past, Ricardo and Ume, we learn a little bit more about them. Not a whole lot, but we see they're sort of getting closer and closer to catching Tokyo, but also they're kind of hired help. They're not, members of whatever organization the Masked Man and Chandra are part of. They've been hired by the Masked Man to do this job, and they don't know what's going to happen to Tokyo afterwards. And then we end. Earlier on in the chapter, there's this bit where Azuma tells Tokyo that he's going to have to, if he doesn't want Ellie to leave him in the dust, he'll have to, kind of maybe shape up a little bit. And Azuma sort of reflects on that and his own seeming weakness. There seems to be a hint of bitterness that he did not get a Choujin power when Tokyo did. That we see at the end as he comments that no matter how fast he runs, this hyena that escaped from the zoo during the Nari incident will always be faster than him. And that's where we leave off. So that said, let's dive right on into Chapter 17, Pack. I have no idea what that's going to be referring to. We open on Yamato Mori Underground Level 2 in the fortified incarceration room, where we see this woman saying, "Hey!" And it's Nari, from way back in the zoo incident. Nari Sumiji, Beast Choujin. Could you let me out of here already? So that's actually a somewhat interesting thing. The Beast Choujin also applies to Nari. Because I was assuming when we saw things like X Choujin, it was a bit more individualized, right? More like a devil fruit power, so to speak. But Nari and Tokyo have vastly different abilities, but they're both Beast Choujin? I'm curious what exactly that's about. But I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking things. Nari protests, "Could you let me out of here already? I haven't got anything else to tell you." And this Yamato Mori member, who seems to be kind of questioning her, sort of mutters, and Nari goes on, "I just lost my temper and went on a little rampage, that's all." And the Choujin here just has this, thought bubble with an X on it, like she knows Nari's full of shit. Seiko Kira is her name. The lie detector Choujin. See, that's so specific. Why is Beast Choujin not specific? That's the real question. I was going to say maybe it's the fact that, Nari, who's presumably who is working for the Masked Man, and Tokyo would have both gotten their Choujin powers by the same injection, but so did Johnny, who is not a Beast Choujin. I don't know. The fact they share the same moniker seems important, but I just don't know what it's going to mean. Anyway, the narration tells us Seiko's ability is simple. She's able to discern whether another person's statements are true or false by visualizing X's and O's. The simplicity of her methods means her interrogation skills are being put to the test. I guess she doesn't really have a way to, force Nari to tell the truth, just to know that Nari's lying. And Seiko thinks, "Come on, Seiko, your bonus is on the line. You've got this." And Seiko goes on, "Please allow me to ask you again. Has someone hired you?" "Nobody has." And Seiko sees the X. A lie. So she has a client. Then she asks, "Were you specifically targeting Kurohara?" "Could have been anyone." X. Another lie. Tokyo Kurohara was her target. And then Seiko goes on. "Was it one of the tower? One of Chandra's associates who made the request?" Okay, so now we have a name of Chandra's organization, the Tower, whatever that means. But we know that Chandra hangs out in that big tower in the center of Tokyo, where the weird fleshy lady is. But Nari says, like I said, no. Oh, then it really wasn't Chandra or his people. Which is interesting, because I've been under the impression, because Nari definitely got her orders on the Man in the Mask. And I was assuming they were on, like, the same, like, but Chandra and the Masked Man were, like, you know, maybe opposite sides of the same goal. Like, they're both trying to do the same thing, and they're part of the same organization with, like, separate branches or something. But I don't know. That's sort of shading that in a little bit. If it wasn't the Tower faction, then who is the client? And she keeps thinking, this will take days if I go through the list of Choujin with prior offenses one by one. I need questions that get to the point. She might be a source of critical information on the Tower. So apparently the Tower is something that, like, everyone is really aware of, but it's the first time we're hearing of all this. Think. Someone comes in. Miss Kira, I'm sure you're tired. I'll take your place. Mr. Sato. And we've met Sato very briefly, I think. He might have shown, I forgot where exactly. It might have been the very end of the Shiozaki fight. But I forget the exact details. Ichiro Sato, Choujin / Yamato Mori keeper. We don't get any knowledge on what his Choujin ability is, though, which might be important. And he sits down after having Seiko leave. I hear you were testing Kurohara in some way. What was the test? And Nari tells him, I was playing the role of examiner for fun. I wanted to know how strong he actually was. He's a beast Choujin, just like me. I got curious. So maybe the fact that they both share that beast moniker isn't super important, as just sort of a casual thing Nari throws off. I don't know. So you were toying with him. How and when did you find out he was a Choujin? And Nari goes on, I'm telling you, it was just a random coincidence. You can run into at least 3 Choujin a year without even trying. Are Choujin that rare? I imagine they have, like, their own subculture where all the Choujin kind of... Like the ghouls all kind of knew each other back in Ghoul. I figure the Choujin were kind of at least somewhat similar. Again, the particularities of Ghoul and Choujin legality are very different. But still. Anyway, Sato goes on. Only one person in every 1,000 has the aptitude to become a Choujin. And there are even fewer among those who have awakened. Well, I mean, 1 in every 1,000. What's the population of Tokyo? It's probably several million, right? 13.96 million. 1 in 1,000 there is still... I guess it's only 1,400 people. Now that I put that into numbers, right? 1 in 1,000. Or 14,000 people. I think it's 14,000 people, which is a fair number, but in the city of 14 million, it's not a lot. Only one person every 1,000. Anyway, seems to me that running into someone like that by chance is more than a random coincidence. Nari sort of goes on, is that right? And she thinks, we should just get to the point. And Sato goes on, you're hiding something. I more or less know that. I'd rather not resort to extreme methods. What? As in violence? Wow. And you call yourselves the Good Choujin Organization. You detain a delicate girl like me want to do what exactly? I'm so looking forward to telling everyone about it. So there's the thing. Nari's also kind of pointing out the sort of simplicity of good and bad organizations. But Sato says, a powerless man like me couldn't hurt someone with beastification. Actually, I detest violence. And he holds out his hand, and it looks like he might be hypnotizing Nari. Psycho Snare is his ability. And now it looks like Nari has this image of her, like, floating in the air or something. We teleported? And she kind of panics for a second, where she, like, grips the chair beneath her that she can't see. I can feel the chair under me. We're still in the same place? Just as you've guessed, we're still in the incarceration room. I assume you know what telepathy is? Telepathy? My power allows me to transmit mental images. And Nari thinks transmit images? It's quite a useful ability. I can convey abstract ideas to others that are difficult to describe in words, as easily as if I were drawing them on paper. Those are my mental images of slugs. And we have these, like, giant slugs sort of sailing by Sato and Nari. For example, I could imagine a map and share it with others, among other things. If you so wish, I could replay a triple feature of the movies I saw last week. And Nari just tells him, I hate movies. And Sato just sort of brushes that off. That's too bad. Now, that's enough of an introduction. Starting now, I will transmit an image of countless fly eggs hatching in every orifice of your body, while hordes of larvae crawl about and slowly devour you. Okay. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. You know, I've been saying, that I didn't think that, like, you know, there was some dark secret to Yamato Mori, just that they were too simplistic for a world that is not simple. But now we have this fucker here, and I'm not sure anymore. I regularly expose myself to all kinds of imagery in order to cultivate the powers of my imagination. I've actually observed the image I just described to you, so I'm sure I'll be able to recreate it very realistically, with scrupulous attention to detail. As we're going through this, if you feel like telling me information that will benefit us, please don't hesitate to speak up. I'll stop the image when you do. Well, let's get started. Yeah, that's just straight up torture. And also, as just general, like, the world has learned, those kinds of torture methods don't often get you real information. You know, people just lie to stop the pain. So it seems very ineffective to boot. But then we just have this pixelated image of, I guess, Sato's torture going on. And we cut a little bit later, as Sato walks out the room, Seiko asks, how did it go? And she thinks, I hope everything's okay. And Sato sighs, her mental fortitude is nothing to scoff at. She fainted. What? The floor is dirty, so if you could please clean that up. She didn't, however, divulge any information. Her client might have paid her handsomely, or she's afraid of her betrayal coming to light. And we see the masked man, just hanging out on a rooftop. But yeah, Nari, she held strong. I don't know. Knowing that Sandek keeps a guy like this on the payroll, I'm a little bit less trusting of him right now. It's just fucked up. This is just a fucked up situation here. Anyway, she's afraid of her betrayal coming to light. I'd like to keep her in custody for longer. Could you sort out the formalities? And Seiko's just, what? We need to give a reason for the extension. Oh, right. Could you come up with something? Yeah, Sato is just more and more sketchy. Like, it's just like, the way he feels like a kind of crooked cop, almost. You know, the way he's like, oh, just make up some excuse so we can detain this girl longer. I don't know. I'm distinctly untrusting of Sato. And by association, I'm much more distrusting of Yamato Mori than I was just a little while ago. Anyway, we cut to a motel. The motel, where my buddy boy Ricardo is just kind of snoozing. He doesn't snore, he snorgles, I guess because of his tentacles somehow fucked that up, I guess. And we see Ume, who is awake, sort of folding more of her little origami dogs. And she looks at the map. I guess that's the map just of Yamato Prefecture, I think. I'm not quite sure how that whole thing works, but whatever. And she sort of looks at where all the dogs are gathered. And we see... Oh, I think she's not folding more origami dogs. She's folding little origami knives. And then she turns over to Ricardo, and Ricardo like snores some more. Ricardo, please. And then she like whacks him as Ricardo goes a little blah. Come on. And then we leave them there for now. This scene seems largely irrelevant, just sort of like to remind us that the two of them are still around. Because then we cut to Suru Prefectural High School, where Tokyo is coming to class. See ya, someone calls out as he's walking by, and Tokyo thinks to himself, wonder what happened this week in Strongest Grandpa. Is that some show? Is that like I think it's a manga, I think. He says, I'll stop by the convenience store. He's going to go pick up a magazine. And then he sees something and looks up confused. And it's a Momoma. Momoma? Oh, it's you, Kurahara. What a coincidence. And some guy sees Momoma. That's a Konpei High uniform. And Tokyo's just, what are you doing at Tsuru High? Not waiting for a boyfriend, I hope. Right, we learned last time that Tokyo, or we got definitively confirmed last time, Tokyo has more than a little crush on Momoma here. But Momoma tells him, I was hoping to go shopping with Ellie. Shopping? Where? And he sort of sighs to himself, oh, she's just here for Ellie. To Jasto and Mobara. Ellie just came to Yamato, so I was hoping to show her around. So, again, Momoma's just here, which I guess makes enough sense. But again, that Sato bit has made me very skeptical of Yamato Mori. And maybe it's wrong to be skeptical of Momoma by association. Like, more than anyone else, I trust Momoma more than the rest of Yamato Mori. But still, a little sketch. Just a little sketch. She said Gaga doesn't have department stores. And Tokyo's just right. Seems like something she'd be happy about. Then he looks at her. Say, you're in your uniform today. Oh, right. I came straight from school. And she sort of like does a little pose to show off her uniform. And Tokyo mutters, you look great. And thinks, nice. So yeah, Tokyo's into her a little bit. More than a little bit. But anyway, they move somewhere else, I guess. And Tokyo asked her, isn't it difficult working as a keeper while going to school? I think I'm used to it. I've been doing this since I was 10. Again, we also learned last week, kids as young as 6 train to be keepers. Which seems slightly kind of child soldiery. Again, Yamato Mori is just not looking very good right now. And Tokyo asks, have you been a Choujin since you were small? My dad is a Choujin. I fully inherited my powers. Apparently, I've been using them since I was 4. And we have this image of her and her dad. A Choujin since she was 4. Her life's been completely different from mine. And Tokyo then says out loud, I see. Momoma, you and Kagamura are amazing. And I heard Ellie started training too. So I've been thinking maybe I should do something too. And he sort of mumbles, maybe become a keeper? And Momoma sort of acknowledges his kind of discomfort with that concept and tells him, you don't have to overthink it. There are plenty of Choujin who go about their daily lives without using their powers. You have your own path to take, Kurahara. And we have this sudden shot of Azuma and his classmates put over this little bit of dialogue. Someone tells him, Azuma, can you come for our club meeting? All right. As Maiko says, but if you'd like to make use of your powers, I think you'd become a great keeper. And Tokyo, who is just, like, if anyone was going to get Tokyo to join Yamato Mori, it was going to be Momoma. He's just too attracted to her. But yeah, again, like I've sort of been saying, I'm not quite sure Tokyo is going to be a good fit for Yamato Mori, as the world is far more complicated than Yamato Mori, I think, wants it to be. And Tokyo just lets out a little, huh? In what way do you think? And then, just then, she gets a call from Simon. Momoma, you've got a pile up on Prefectural Road 202. The police have requested assistance. Can you make it? I guess given her strength powers, a car wreck is pretty good for that. Yes. And Tokyo asks, was that Kagamura? And he just sort of mutters, getting in the way, to himself. And Momoma says, yeah, what do I do? I need to go. And just then Ellie arrives. Hey! Oh my, Ellie! And then Ellie sees Tokyo. Tokyo? Which again, kind of bad timing, because they can't really have their little shopping dates. Sorry, Ellie, a job came up and... Oh, really? Momoma tells her, but I promise to make it up to you later. And then Tokyo chimes in, Momoma, if it's alright with you, I could take Ellie to the store. And he sort of like does his tie, especially since I'd make a good keeper. He's definitely just trying to impress Momoma here. He's not even being slightly subtle here. And Ellie is not blind. She sees it. Wait, you mean it? You can count on me. And Momoma turns to Ellie. Ellie, is it okay if Kurahara takes my place? Sure. You're okay with that, Tokyo? Leave it to me. And Maiko tells them, thank you, Kurohara. I'm counting on you. Got it. See you later, Ellie. And Tokyo waves goodbye, just a blushy mess, as Ellie just stares at him like this little shit. That's just such a good, like Ellie just seeing right through all this, such a good dynamic. You're acting kind of creepy. Rude. And then we come to, this is like the subway. They're on the train. And I love Ellie's like so short. She has to like stretch all the way up to hold on to the little railing thing. It's a good bit of just like how tiny Ellie is. As Ellie goes on, how much farther? It's another 30 minutes to Mobara? Huh? And then they arrive at Mobara. I guess Mobara City and Mobara Prefecture, I guess? I'm not sure Mobara is like a real place or anything. It is. It's somewhere in Japan. It's in Chiba Prefecture, according to Wikipedia. But this seems to say is Mobara. I'm not sure if we're supposed to if there are like different names for the different prefectures in Choujin X world. I don't know. It's not important. Anyway. This might be like this is the intercom on the train. This might just be like repeating the word twice. Mobara. Please remember to take all your belongings with you as you disembark. And they arrive at the department store, as Ellie is just overjoyed. Whoa! And yeah, it's a big old department store. Amazing! The stairs go up! She's never seen an escalator. It's called an escalator. What are those fluffy things? They're manju cats. They're dumpling-shaped stuffed animals the girls like. There's tons of stuff! And Tokyo's just there. Yeah, there sure is. There's a monster over there! And it's a guy like in a little outside of the store like advertisement costume. That's a costume. Tokyo, what's that there? The restrooms. And Tokyo just follows after her as Ellie is just so fucking gung-ho. And Tokyo just sighs, even I'd get tired out. She's so excited. And then he asked her, do you want to get something here? And then she realizes, oh, a pot! It's like a rice cooker. You mean the rice cooker? It says it cooks using steam. Sure expensive though. I guess like Ellie would be really into just like really convenient cooking techniques. And then Tokyo asks, want to ask for recommendations? Sure. I'm like wandering around, employees. And Ellie's just so gung-ho, rice cooker. And Tokyo says, huh? No one's around. And then both of them at the same time get that Choujin sense. What? What is this thing? What the fuck is this thing? Okay. So it's a Choujin, all right. And from the waist down, he's a normal dude. He's not wearing any pants or anything. He's just wearing like some like flip-flops. And he has normal arms, but instead of a torso and a head, he's got a box. He's just a box man. Look at this man. Look at him. He's a box. He's a fucking box. God, this fucking show. These Choujin designs are something else. I'm not gonna lie. The package Choujin, his name is, yelling, I'll package you up. I'll package everyone up. And Tokyo just comments, is that a pervert? He's wearing a box. And Ellie tells him, nah, looks like a Choujin. I felt a tinkle just now. And then she turns around, Tokyo, look. And we see a bunch of people who have been turned into boxes. Just their heads sticking out of the box. They've been packaged. And Tokyo's just there in boxes? What's going on? And Ellie comments, must have been him. All right. We're beating him. And Tokyo's just still burn the place down. Now, what are we supposed to do? And Tokyo thinks he seems kind of weak. And we see the package Choujin says, why do humans keep making the same mistakes? They're no better than animals. Which is a comment, I suppose. He's saying something. And then Tokyo has sort of told Ellie not to do anything because she'll like set everything on fire. But Tokyo has this image of Maiko saying, wow, you solved this all on your own, Kurohara? I see. And that gives him the determination to like fight this guy and hopefully not get caught up in Yamato Mori's hyper-specific laws. All right, you stay here, Ellie. Huh? I'll take this one. And he's already, like, grabbed a box or something. And Ellie's just, And you can tell she's more than a little skeptical of his intentions right now. But anyway, Boxman goes on, a consumer society that stops at nothing. But what is truly consumed is people's minds. How have you not realized that capitalism is destroying the world? I mean, he's not wrong. Boxman ain't wrong. I'm not quite sure what that has to do with turning people into boxes, but he's not wrong. Excessive frivolities have led humanity astray, dragging them lower than beasts. And we see Tokyo is currently hiding inside a box so that, like, Boxman does not notice him. I have no idea what kind of power he has. Well, he did turn a bunch of people into boxes, so that's a good guess right there. I need to go about this carefully. And we see he's, like, rustling towards Boxman, and when he's right next to Boxman, Boxman just lifts up his own box. Wait, you little... And yep, he has been caught by the Boxman. You caught me! And Boxman rants, what kind of box moves? Darn it, full beastification! And as he's going, Boxman throws the box at him. I'll package you up! And with that, he is full beastified, but he's also a box. Farm fresh, dunce Choujin, like his human form with an arrow pointing to his Choujin form, high school year 2. And he's kind of panicking. I can't move! What the heck kind of power do you have? And Boxman just teases him, looks like you're in a bind. And Ellie watches all this. What does he think he's doing? Then she thinks, if I get too close, I'll end up same as Tokyo. More importantly, and we look at Boxman, and we see he's surrounded by clothes. And so Ellie notes, he's too close to heaps of stuff that'll end up as kindling. What can I do with my power? And she flashes back to a conversation with Sandek. Ellie, everything always has a perfect balance. And we see they're both doing this sort of yoga stretch, but Ellie is like very unbalanced while like Sandek is perfectly balanced. You don't need to always use your full abilities. You don't need a cannon to get rid of a wasp's nest. And that gives Ellie an idea. As Boxman goes on, how many more products need to be packaged before humanity is satisfied? Consumption and packaging are a never-ending cycle. So all I can resort to is packaging humanity itself. I mean, his end result is kind of off, but he's got some good points. All I'm gonna say. And the box next to Tokyo tells him, he's been at this for half an hour. I don't care how, I just want to get out of here. And Tokyo tells him, I'm sure. And then thinks to himself, damn it, I was careless. Sorry, Ellie, please do something. And Boxman gets right back to his ranting. As more natural resources are found, more waste is produced. Enough to necessitate burning garbage. Global warming accelerates. When will you people realize there's already a fire lit under your butts? Do you understand? Damn, it's hot. You see? The effects of global warming have even reached us here. Is what he thinks is going on, but actually he sees the smoke from his box hole. And Ellie has lit his ass on fire. Literally, put a fire under his butt. What? There's a fire under my butt! And he goes running through the aisles in a bit of a quick panic and looks back. And then we see Ellie creating her smoke. And we see Ellie, who's just like, she just looks sort of tired of this guy. Like, she looks sort of dead-eyed. But also, there's a sort of, like her hair is lifted up, her skirt is lifted up a little bit, at an angle where it's not, like, inappropriate or anything. But it's very sort of, there is some kind of energy, like, wind raised from below or something. But that smoke goes straight to Boxman, setting the back of his box alight. Burn! And Boxman catches on fire. Okay. And I'm not sure, is that killing him? I sure hope not. And Ellie just sort of quips as Boxman is defeated. If you got something to say, then run for office. Which is very simplistic. And, ties in with the whole sense of Ellie and Yamato Mori as a whole being kind of simplistic, maybe a little overly simplistic for the world they live in. Yeah. I don't know. But with that, everyone is free from the packages. Tokio knows, I'm back to normal. Thank goodness, I can go home. So that's someone else's line. As Tokio just sits there and thinks. And then we meet Seppuku Edamura, a Choujin keeper, he's got like these big sunglasses, mostly bald, except for a little bit on the sides, and this one little thing going up like this, like curved or something. He's got this like tally marks carved into his forehead. We meet Masao Chikabo, package Choujin, employee of Happy Happy Shipping Service, deliverer of smiles and happiness, turned into a Choujin because strenuous labor broke him mentally. Ability, anyone who packages becomes immobilized. And given the sort of heavy labor, like the labor-intensive focus of Japanese society, this feels like Ishida's getting somewhere with all this. Masao here is a very sympathetic figure, and I'm curious he'll be treated sympathetically by Seppuku here. As Masao tells our trio, I'm fed up with packaging products. Living in such a product-driven society, I felt like we might as well package all humans. Ugh. And Seppuku tells him, kid, it'd be a lot harder to package everybody. So Seppuku here is sort of much more sympathetic than what we're used to with Yamato Mori. Or, we're not quite that far yet where I can, definitively say more sympathetic than Yamato Mori would be. But he's not, he's not, his sympathies for Masao here, don't quite seem to align with the road metaphor from chapter 15. But anyway, Tokio comments, he's got a point. They would use more packaging materials to package everyone in the world, I guess. That is my medicine alarm. I'll get to that after this video. Seppuku tells him, you got any aspirations? Huh? Politics? Put your best foot forward. And he stands up to Tokio and Ellie. The name's Edamura. I'm a freelance keeper. Okay. That's an interesting bit. Because, maybe we're not in Yamato Prefecture, and so Yamato Mori wouldn't be a thing, but you'd think there would still be, keeper organizations. What we see here, Edamura is divorced from any singular organization, but he is still a keeper. I'm also kind of curious, do freelance keepers fill the same kind of role as, a vigilante in a superhero series or something? Sort of counter to the law almost, but an outside the law sort of thing. Maybe. I don't know. There's still a lot of world building that Ishida has to do at some point. And Edamura looks around and hands them this coupon. For your efforts. They're certificates you can use at the department store. You two did good. Go buy yourself something nice. And Ellie's just pumped to see that. And Tokyo's a little bit, uncomfortable here. Ain't this great, Tokyo? Yeah. And they're at, a diner. And Tokyo, I guess Ellie's used her coupon on this food. You could have bought a nice rice cooker. Huh? But those certificates. You did all the work. It's alright. I was only able to do it because you let yourself get packaged. I guess. And then they're walking somewhere. We can notably still see the tower in the background. So they might have gone home already. But Ellie says, Tokyo, thanks for bringing me here. It was a lot of fun going out today. So yeah, so they're still in Moroba was where the town was, right? Was that the name of the town? Am I remembering that properly? Mobara. They're still in Mobara. Which, the fact that you can still see the tower in Mobara is interesting. I don't know. I don't understand the basics of the tower or really the structure of the world here at all right now. But anyway, they're back on the train. And Tokyo, the train's basically empty at this point. They're sitting down, and Tokio sees the two of sees their two reflections, and he knows that she's like passed out. She's asleep. She's so good at using her powers. She's talented. And then, as Ellie like falls onto Tokio's shoulder, Tokio flashes back to what Azuma said. You'll get left behind by Oda. Guess that's it. And Ellie's asleep. And Tokio tries to nudge her now that she's like on top of him. Hey, and thinks, what if it goes down exactly like Azuma said? Anyway, I was useless today. And we hear the ga-chunk, ga-thunk, ga-chunk, ga-thunk of the train. Maybe I'll at least try working out when I get home. And we see, sitting right across from him, is Ume. To be continued. So shit's about to go down. All of our wonderings about like how is all of this going to play out? Like thematically, how is Yamato Mori's moral role in the world going to play out? That I think will take a backseat in the immediate future. Now there is a much bigger threat to worry about in the short term. As Ume is like 2 seats down from her target. And I imagine she's going to be a hell of a lot tougher to beat than Nari was. And even Nari required Simon to come in and save the day. But yeah, let's talk this chapter, because it's a pretty long chapter. There's a whole lot of stuff going on here that I imagine will become much more important as the series goes on. First we have, our first sign of really a kind of darkness in Yamato Mori. Just in the sense that, like, Sato is fucked up. Sato is a fucked up little man. And I am deeply untrusting of him, and increasingly untrusting of Yamato Mori for kind of keeping him around. Because the man is just really fucked up. He goes straight for torture. Seiko's like, I'm just going to ask her questions so we get, like, a good answer out of her. And Sato's just, I will torture her first and hope she gives me something later. We also, have this foreboding image of the masked man. I didn't quite bring this up because I sort of changed my mind before I had a chance to say anything. But my initial impression that he might be listening in, but I don't think that's it. I think he's just there to be like a reminder as to who Nari is working for. Because as I recall, the last time we really saw Nari, let me see when the last Nari chapter came out. Because it's been quite a while. It was back in August. It's been a good 6 months since Nari was the immediate foe, since she showed up. So yeah, a reminder of like what's really at stake for Nari is either torture at Sato's hands or death by the masked man's hands. But like Sato is still just fucked up. That's not really excuse how fucked up a human being, or a Choujin, I suppose, Ichiro Sato really is. He's fucked up. Then we get this quick reminder of Ume and Ricardo, which I guess sets up Ume arriving on the train in the final page, I guess. But then we have some antics at school with a few little like page compositions that feel really important. Specifically the bit with the random cut to Azuma as Maiko says, "You have your own path to take, Kurohara, but if you'd like to make use of your powers, I think you become a great keeper." Like, the appearance of Azuma in just that one panel seems important. Like, Azuma is the other path you could take, maybe? I'm not quite sure how exactly Azuma fits into all this. And Azuma is a character who definitely has some sort of hang-ups going on, as we saw at the end of last chapter. But then, due to some work shit, Tokio ends up being the one to take Ellie to Mobara. We have some fun gags of, like, Ellie is being really excited to, like, see a more urban part of the world. And then we meet my boy Boxman, Masao Chikabo. And he is very sympathetic. His plan might not have been the best, but he definitely, like, he's not wrong about most of the stuff he says. Never-ending consumption is not really feasible. The whole, like, limitless growth on a infinite growth on a finite planet sort of thing. will inevitably make everything hell. And Masao is very open about that. And I wish him the best. I'm not sure politics will work out for him, but I do wish him the best. I hope Masao has a good life ahead of him, and is able to do something about the climate crisis, because you know what? I'm a fan of this man. He's the best. He's not just my favorite Choujin design. He's just right. He's just correct. Maybe boxing everyone's a little bit too extreme, but he's not, technically wrong. But then also there's that bit with the freelance keeper, which again, really curious how the concept of a freelance keeper works, especially given Yamato Mori's insistence on, good people do this and bad people do that sort of thing. Good people are registered with us if they're either not using their powers, or they're using their powers in an emergency, or they're using their powers for a legal organization. And Edamura is not using his powers for an organization. He's a freelancer. Whereas, maybe he still has some kind of, keeper's license or something. But it does seem to... It's interesting that, we see him be so sympathetic towards Masao, and then he's like, I'm not part of any organization. I'm just myself. I'm just some guy. That seems relevant. And then we have some more sort of cute little friendship moments between Tokio and Ellie. I really hope this doesn't turn romantic at all. They're just kind of adorable together. They're sort of good friends. As Tokio just sort of wonders, this was not just a moment to the point of Boxman was not just, I think, Edamura's introduction or the introduction of freelance keepers. It's also sort of continuing this idea that Tokio feels kind of weak, especially directly compared to Ellie. So pairing him and Ellie together is really important in that sense. But also, most importantly right now, Ume is on the train, and I don't think she's going to let our boy go right now. Yeah, that's going to happen real soon, and given that she definitely seems stronger than Nari, and Maiko and Simon are nowhere to be found, this could be trouble for our two heroes. Almost certainly will. But we'll have to wait till next time to learn all that whenever the next chapter comes out. So with that said, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you'll enjoy the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, do whatever makes you happy, And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!